Now I would like to talk a little bit about what the hell is going on with Harley and why 2024 might not be that great of a year for them. So I feel like in my experience, Harleys have always sold really well. Since 2019, I've owned a different Harley pretty much every year. I usually buy them in the spring and I sell them in the fall, and I usually don't lose a ton of money on them. For example, I bought my first Harley, which was a 2017 Dyna Lowrider. I bought it for like $12,500. I rode it for a year, and then in the wintertime, I was like, oh, I want to try one of these new M8 Softails. So I went to the dealership, and they gave me $12,000 for my Dyna. And then I bought a $15,000 lowrider, rode that for a little bit, and then the next year I sold the lowrider for like $13,800 on a trade towards another bike. And it's like, I never really have lost a ton of money on them. They've always just been kind of like hot commodities, and things are a lot different this year. And I want to kind of show you guys a couple things that I've seen personally. So in 2022, I had a Road Glide, and I was looking to get a new seat. And I went to a couple different dealers, seeing if they had a CVO there that I could sit on and try out the CVO seat to see if it would be worth it. I couldn't find a CVO like to save my life. I went everywhere. I checked a bunch of dealerships. I like couldn't find one. It was impossible. Now, I went on this one dealership looking for bikes for this video, and let me tell you something, man. The stock that these dealerships have is insane. Right off the bat here, we have 4 CVO Street Glides in stock. I'm sorry, 5 CVO Street Glides. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 CVO Road Glides available at one dealership. And I called and asked if they actually had 10, and they said, yeah, we have 10. We come buy them. These things are ludicrously expensive. They're nice bikes. I mean, I get it, but like they're outrageous. But I want to talk about like I think what's going on. Like all these dealerships, they're just loaded with inventory. I mean, like this never used to happen. I had to order my 2020 lowrider when I bought it because they didn't have any. I couldn't find one in the state. I had to order a black lowrider standard from Harley and get it delivered to my dealer because I couldn't find one. And this year, I mean, there is so much stock. Page 1 of 5. Look at all this inventory. And like I said, 15 CVOs total. I noticed something too. There's a lot of touring bikes available. Street glides, road glides, whatever. Fancy paint jobs, fancy doodads. There's not that many Softails on here at all. There's no Fat Bobs for sale. You'll find a couple Street Bobs every now and again, but I feel like they order a lot of those anyways. Oh, here's a Fat Bob. 1 Fat Bob out of 5 pages of inventory. These Pan Ams aren't selling well. I've seen like a million of these yellow Pan Ams. These Sportsters aren't selling worth a damn either. I mean, they might as well just nix that whole line, in my opinion, because I don't think anybody really wants these bikes. Here's a freaking Livewire. Clear at the bottom for 2022. Here's a 2022 leftover Pan Am special. That's just insane. I mean, they're not moving this stuff. This is not the only dealership like this, by the way. I mean, they're pretty much all like this. Let's go to Z&M, that website that has all the new Harleys. So we'll scroll down past the 24s, and I mean, Pan Am, you know, Softails galore. They have a lot of Softails of this one here. Page 1 of 3 inventory. There's just, look at all these baggers. There's just so many touring bikes. I don't think people are buying these as much, especially since the Lowrider ST came out. I think people want the lighter, faster, more fun bikes. Personally, I had a Road Glide, and I just didn't really find it that entertaining or fun. I just didn't really enjoy myself on it. And I think a lot of people are starting to feel the exact same way too. Most of their client base is getting older. These bikes are expensive and they're heavy. And, you know, $42,999. I mean, that's a lot of money for a bike. And they got like the Nightsters that are like $13,499. But it's like, who's gonna ride this thing? Like, this is a bike for like a foreign market, and I don't even understand why we have it. If you literally would have put a Milwaukee 8 in this frame, people would have been like, oh yeah, the Dyna's back. It's got dual shocks on the rear. You know, people would have, I feel like people would have enjoyed that. It's a small bike. They're really small. They're really light. And it's like, why didn't you just put in like a 107 in this? Like an M8 107. This would have sold like crazy. But they just didn't do that. They're like, oh, Revomax. And then it's all these people online like, oh, I like the new Revomax. Harley's finally starting to do something. And you know what? I'll get into why people aren't going to dealers to buy their bikes anymore. So, example A, right here. This is what I'm talking about. This is insane. They're gonna have such a hard time selling this bike when the 24s come out. This amazing 2023 Street Bob has custom paint, slip-on mufflers, Geta grips, smoke turn signal lenses, black levers, and a fuel cap. It's got grips. It's got grips on it, man, and it's got primer paint with a swedged Harley logo that doesn't even look like the right style. This is the regular badge. The one on here is smushed. Every website you go to, they just have tons of inventory that they can't move. And I'll show you exactly why nobody is going to these dealerships anymore. This right here. When I first heard about Facebook Marketplace, I was like, oh yeah, it's just like gonna be like Craigslist. A bunch of crackheads selling their shit. I don't know what's different about this website, but people are like beyond reasonable. It's crazy. I mean, like, people are so like reasonable with their bikes. Like a 2016 Dyna in nice condition, 10 grand. I mean, yeah, you could probably get them down to like 9.5, 9, 8, whatever. Depends on how bad they want to sell it. That's not bad. If that was on a Harley dealership, this thing would be like 14 grand. No, it'd be like 16,000. They'd be like, it's loaded with accessories. It's got fucking short shots. It's got forward controls. It's got a phone holder. That's like 12 grand accessories. We're losing money selling you this bike. I like Facebook Marketplace because like depreciation actually exists, and it's like, oh, okay, here's a 2022 Street Bob for $12,000, 900 miles, good as new, all stock. These are just people who have hit hard times and they're just unloading their toys and getting ready for Christmas. Or they just don't want to ride anymore. They're just like, yeah, I don't really care for it. This is exactly why nobody wants to buy new bikes right now, is because of this shit. I have personally had too many bad dealership experiences to even mention. Like, I don't want to talk about it. It makes me sick. I'll give you guys a quick story right now because this thing is still actually available and I can just talk about it. So over the summer, I was looking for bikes, and for some reason I couldn't really find too many on Facebook Marketplace. I've been wanting to buy a Street Bob for a while, like an M8 Street Bob, something I can just kind of have that's fast and new and reliable and whatever. I found this one online, and I thought it was a pretty good deal. It was here it is, still for sale. It's a 2022 Street Bob, and they just posted it. It was like just posted a couple hours ago. And I was like, 14.8? I'm like, that's not that bad. It's a 2022. It's got the 114, got the mags. Whatever. I'm going to pop down, buy it. So I called him. I put a deposit on it over the phone. And I asked the guy, like, you know, it's 14.8. Like, most of these dealerships want, like, 16 for used bikes. Like, what's going on with this one? He goes, oh, nothing. It's just, you know, whatever. It's great. Come down and buy it. I went down to the dealership, and they like wouldn't let me see the bike. They were like, hey, like, we're gonna do the paperwork first. I'm like, no, we're not doing the paperwork first. They go, oh, well, we're just really busy today, and you know, we want to get the paperwork out of the way, so that way whenever we're done, you can just go and ride. I'm like, no, I'm gonna see the bike first. She's like, oh, okay. So go to the back. He pulls out of the shed. I immediately notice, let me see if I can find it. You can't really tell here, but the shifter was bent in. That's the first thing I noticed. That the shifter was bent like pretty badly. It had a road rash on the housings here, and the guy like painted over it. So look at the right side here, how this bottom piece is all black around the axle. See that? Paint's all scraped off. I'll show you this too. You can definitely see this from the pictures. This primary here, that's a chip out of the primary. That's not like a scuff. I mean, like, the shifter hit the primary so hard that it actually chipped the metal out of the primary. And then I told the guy was like, you know, he's like, oh, so what are we doing today? I'm like, I'm not buying this bike. I don't buy wrecked bikes off dealers. And the guy's like, it wasn't wrecked, it was dropped. I'm like, oh, so you admit that it was dropped. And then they offered to like pay for all the parts to fix it, and I was like, no, I'm not dealing with you shady fuckers. It's still 14.8. This is a wrecked bike. This thing should be like 12 grand. It's wrecked. It should be a fucking R title. I don't know. I'm just saying. It's a depreciated wrecked bike. It should not be this much money. Another one too, let me show you. This dealer is absolutely egregious near me. Steel City Harley in Washington, Pennsylvania. All their bikes are absurd. They're so expensive. Here's a 2022 Fat Bob 114 for $20,007. How much is a new Fat Bob? I don't even know. I mean, it starts at $18,899, and then like let's put a paint option on there. Adds $500. So these are like what, $19,500 MSRP with a paint, and this $20,734 with 2,000 miles. Here's a 21 Lowrider S with a backrest and an ugly sundowner seat and forward controls. $19,867. It's like, you know, depreciation exists. These bikes, like, they lose value. A fucking 21,883 for 11,400. Eat my fucking ass. Let's see. Iron 883 Facebook Marketplace. Oh, what do you know? A bike that's been unchanged for like the last 20 years. Oh, look at that. Here's a 2014 in the exact same goddamn color for $5,250 with miles, low miles, stock, some short shots, whatever. Oh yeah, 11.4. They don't make them anymore. It's a rare commodity. It's a fucking Sportster with some ugly Vance and Hines pipes on it. Like, with scratched up, road rashed Vance and Hines pipes. And dealers like this are just everywhere. They hike up the prices, they drive people away, they fucking jerk you around. You have 4 Iron 1200s of the same year and basically same color, and you guys are asking 10.4 for each. I think that they need to slim down the touring line a little bit, chop a couple models off of this touring lineup. You have a Road Glide, Street Glide, Road King, Electric Glide, and people want the Road King Standard back. Like, what the Road King Standard? The Electric Glide is basically the Road King. Just get that. They're all the same frame, same engine basically, except for these. This one's technically a sport model. This one's technically a sport model. This one's technically a sport model, but I think they're getting rid of this. Sport model, sport model. And then these are all just like grandpa bikes. So it's like the bikes that are selling, you have like 4 options and there's like a couple different paint schemes that aren't really that great. Why don't you get rid of these or take this frame and put an M8 in it and just say, yeah, here's your Dyna. Buy your Dyna for $15,000. Get rid of these. Get rid of one of these. Nobody's buying these bikes. Get rid of like most of these. Have a Road Glide, have a Street Glide. You want to Ultra, buy the accessories for it, and then just have like one trike. I think that they should just get rid of the standard and then just offer a chrome bob. Have like a chrome 114 Street Bob, and then just leave it the same price. Pick black or chrome, whatever. Like this, the savings on this just don't really even like matter. This thing here has these cheap finishes that remind me of a freaking early model Dyna Super Glide with like the blonde engine and the shit heads. I think they're getting rid of this. I'm like 90% sure because there's no information about it and it's not even on the 2024 model list. So there's another sport bike that's down. You could have literally just sold this fairing in the P&A and these bags in the P&A and not even had to worry about another bike. And people would have still bought it because it's Harley and people love it. You could have just literally just had that Lowrider S. But there needs to be like a couple more options. Like these grandpa bikes are just like, who the fuck is buying these? I'm sorry. Like, I've never seen a Fat Boy in the wild. I've never seen anybody who's been like, I love the Fat Boy. I love that giant fucking 400 millimeter rear tire. It's just so sexy to me. I love riding down the road. And if you're gonna have a Fat Boy, you might as well get like a Terminator Fat Boy. Like, I don't understand who's buying the M8 Fat Boy. Like, you know, just my opinion. This Breakout, I mean, I swear to God, this is made for like dudes in Europe who wear bejeweled pants. I mean, who wants this? I don't even understand. Who's just like, yeah, get on the Breakout. Break out of the closet. I'm sorry if you like the Breakout. And then they put a 117 on it. Like, okay. Harley with their fucking stupid high performance engine and a dumb cruiser. A la V-Rod. A la FXDR. Like, and as it stands, this bike is the only bike that interests me at all. I hate the seating position on the lowriders because the seat rails are just shit and the ergonomics are awful. This doesn't interest me. I don't like the aesthetics at all. This, I don't like the finishes. These I've already mentioned. Get rid of this bike. Why is this even here? This is a road queen. This is like this Dyna switchback. But you'll have 100 guys in the comments on YouTube videos like, I've always hated Harley, but when they released this new Revo Max engine, I started to really consider trading my Indian in. After I saw that new Nightster with that 975cc engine, I just really considered getting rid of my Indian Chieftain. And then everyone online's like, oh yeah, the fucking Indians are blowing Harley out of the water. You better watch out, Harley. Like, they suck too. There's really nothing that I give a shit about with Indians. Let's check it out. All inventory. Are they selling all their models and doing phenomenal? No. Indian. Apply filter. Oh, look at that. They have a shit ass load of 2023s as well. And what do you know it? It's kind of just like Harley. They have like a bunch of baggers sitting on the floor and there's like 2 Chiefs. And all these FTRs that no one gives a shit about because I'm not even being biased. Like, the cruiser market just like blows. In general, like it does. Like I love my Harley, but like the new stuff is just like pissing me off. I went to the dealership and I looked at this because I was considering trying one of these out in the spring, and everyone's raving about it online. Everyone's like, "Oh, watch out, Harley!" So this little display, it took like a minute to boot up. I mean, like it took like a while. I mean, it was like, you know, you turn it on, you're waiting, and then it finally comes on. It's laggy, it's slow, it's kind of hard to maneuver. These housings are plastic, and they feel plastic, and they rattle, and you can move them around with your hand. The foot pegs, same shit, they rattle. You can literally grab them and like rattle them around, and when you're sitting on it, they move under your feet. Indian's fit and finish is not that great. And yes, the bikes are as ugly as they look in person. I'm sorry, they're just not attractive bikes. Like, you can be like, oh, well, the Indian, it's 10% faster speed. I don't care. They're ugly. If you make a bike that's super fast and awesome, I'm not going to buy it if it's ugly. That's why I don't have a Hayabusa. Because that's a really fast, comparable bike, but they're just hideous. I mean, like, look at this shit. That's hideous. Like, who's like, yeah, I want that son of a bitch in my garage. I want that big fucking bird beak, brown leather swinging cock. And I rode one of these, not like this one. I rode just like the Street Glide version. I don't even know what they're called. And it felt boring. It was like a boring Harley. It was just the same thing. It was like, oh, I have an auto adjusting windshield that I can move with a button, and that was about it. Like, look at that console. That's like some shit from like a 2010 Garmin. I remember my first impressions when I rode the Indian Street Glide was when I went to turn the bike on, there was literally like a big power button like you'd have on like an Xbox 360, and that's how you started the bike. And I'm like, wow, that's really, really corny. Gotta turn my motorcycle on. Gotta press my power button. Then you have these things underneath here, which, I mean, they looked so dated. And the bike is just hideous. These little tiny gauges off to the side of this big fucking Hummer H2 screen. Look at that. But the point I'm trying to take away from this is that Harley sucks right now. Indian sucks. Harley dealers really need to fix some shit because this is out of hand. I've heard rumors that they're going to start doing like a direct thing, which is like, you know, there's no dealer. You just order the bike and it gets delivered. But even at that rate, there's just no logical reason to buy a brand new Harley. You literally might as well just go to the flooded used market and get a deal. We'll see how it goes, but I right now, I'm not really too convinced that things are going to go great for 2024. But I'm just going to sit back, ride my 2004 FXDX, and watch the carnage, I guess. If you guys found any kind of value from this video or entertainment at all, then just, you know, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. If you think I'm a fucking idiot and I shouldn't make videos, please let me know. I'll probably agree with you. But yeah, other than that, well, that's about it. That's all I want to talk about today, and I guess we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.